Okay, this is a quick video just to review some of the calculator skills from this chapter. So we're going to practice by working on quadratic regression. So the first thing you want to do is go to your calculator, and it's always good to start by setting your calculator. So you're in the second plus sign 712. That just resets everything, so all the menus are back to normal. Okay, so the first thing it wants us to do is do quadratic regression to find the equation through those given 3 points. So you're going to go to your stat menu, and then you want to enter the information. So you're going to hit edit, and in L1, you're going to put all the X's. So the X's would be 2, 3, and 6. So in your calculator, you're going to have 2, enter, 3, enter, 6, enter. And then in L2, you're going to put the Y's. And the Y's would be -8, and 4. Okay, so we're going to put that in -8, -8, and 4. Okay, now that we have everything in the calculator, you're going to hit the stat button again. And now we want it to do calculations. So we're going to go over to calculate. We're going to do quadratic regression, which is 5. And we're going to leave the first couple things alone and put our cursor on the store regular equation. And it's here, we're going to tell the calculator to store the graph in the y equals. So I'm going to hit the variables button. I'm going to go to y variables. And once you do that, you're going to hit enter for function, enter for y1, and you've got it. Scroll down to calculate. And while it's flashing on calculate, you're going to hit enter. And now it's going to give you your equations. So your equations are going to, or your numbers are going to be 1, -5, and -2. And it tells you your equations in standard form. So you're going to have y equals, don't forget the y equals, 1x squared is just x squared, minus 5x minus 2. Now it wants us to find the maximum or the minimum. Okay, well, because it's positive, it opens up, so it's going to be a minimum. Now let's go to our calculator and do that. So as you can see, our equation's there. Now it gives you the 1 is 1.0000. Well, all those zeros, that's pretty much 1. So our equation's there just like we thought. So we're going to go to zoom, option 6 for a standard graph. And then we can look and see if we see the whole graph. So we see our graph go down and then curve back up, and we can see the whole graph. We can also see the vertex here at the bottom, and that's what we need. And that is a minimum, so we're going to calculate that. So we're going to go to second, calculate, and we want minimum, which is 3. So we're going to bring our cursor down. So we're going to do the left boundary, and then bring it over so we can do the right boundary. And then we're going to pick a point. That's a good guess in the middle. Oops, click too many times. Hit enter. Okay, and when we record minimum and maximum, we're only recording the y value. And it's going to say very clearly on your test for these problems that when necessary, round to the nearest hundredth. A new nearest hundredth is 2 numbers after the decimal. So my y value would be -8.25. So I'll record that on my paper. And now I'm done. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with number 2, except we have more points and it's given in a table instead of ordered pairs. So we're going to go back to our calculator. We're going to hit the stat menu. We want to edit, but this time we have information in there that we want to get rid of. So we're going to put our cursor on L1 and hit clear and down arrow. And then we're going to go up to L2 and hit clear and down arrow. And L1, we're going to put our X's, which is that top row. So we have 0, 2, 4, and 6. Then we're going to put our y's in, which is the bottom row. Be careful of the decimal points. So we have 9.2, 12.7, 23.9, and 15.8. Okay, once you have the numbers in there, then you're going to hit stat. You're going to go over to calculate. We want quadratic regression, which is 5. We're going to leave the first 2 things completely alone and put our cursor on store regular equation. Over here, we're going to hit the variable button, go to the y variables, and then you're just hitting enter. Enter for function, enter for y1, and we're done. We're going to go to calculate and hit enter. And there's our equation. So it tells you your A, B, and C, and it tells you what form to write it in. So now we can write our equation. So on this one, you're going to write y equals negative 0.725 x squared plus 5.9x plus 7.85. And now in our calculator, we want to find the maximum value. So to do that, we have to look at the graph. So we're going to go to our calculator. We go to the y equals. Our equation is right there, just like we recorded it. So we're going to hit the zoom button in 6. We can go to a standard 10 by 10 graph. And we'll look at the parabola. We know it's going to open down because it's negative. And we can see the left and right, but we can't see the top. It's not high enough. But be smart about it. Look at these values here for the y. On these y values here, the highest one we have is 23.9, which means we need to go up to at least 23.9, if not higher. 25 might be a little too close, so maybe we just say 30 or 28 to be safe. So I'm going to go to my window. I don't need to change anything else but how high it is, which is the y, and it's the y maximum. So I guess let's just change to 30. Multiples of 5 are always nice. And then hit graph, and let's see if we can see it. And this time, we did in fact get high enough to be able to see it. So now we can calculate that maximum value. So we're going to do second, calculate, maximum is 4. And I'm going to put my cursor up here on the left. And then I'm going to put my cursor up here on the right and hit enter. And then I'm going to guess something in the middle. And again, I'm only recording my y value. Just like the directions on your test say, you're going to round to the nearest hundredth, which is 2 numbers after the decimal. So I get 19.85. Oops. I'll get out of highlighter. Okay, the last problem doesn't involve a calculator at all, but I wanted to do one of these, so I just stuck it on here where there was space. Okay, so to write into the a plus b form, you need to multiply top and bottom by the conjugate of the bottom. So the conjugate of the bottom is going to be 2 minus 4i. So we're going to multiply top and bottom by 2 minus 4i. So over here, 12 times 2 is going to be 24. And then I'm going to get negative 48i. On the bottom, these are complex conjugates. They are because the real numbers are the same and the imaginary numbers are the same, just different signs. So when they're complex conjugates, you can do the shortcut. 2 times 2 is 4. And then 4i times negative 4i is negative 16i squared. But I squared is negative 1, so this just gives me positive 16. So step 1 is to multiply by the conjugate of the bottom. Step 2 is to combine like terms. So I have 24 minus 48i all over 4 times 16, which is 20. Now that we've got a single whole number in the bottom, now we can split it into 2 fractions. So my first fraction is 24 over 20. A lot of people in the quiz put an equal sign, but that's not right. We need a minus sign. And then my next one is going to be 48i over 20. But before we call this done, now this is good. This is my real number A. This is my imaginary number BI. It's what I want, but it's not reduced. I can divide both of those fractions by 4. So 24 divided by 4 is 6. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Minus, this one is 4 as well. So whoops, there's an extra negative in there accidentally. So I get 12i over 5. And that is my final answer.